I'm not going to hold your hand while I say this because just like an Abuja house party, we are all adults here. I know you've been saying that you're going to prioritize rest, yet by 12:30 a.m., you're still doom scrolling on TikTok. I know you say that you value the relationships in your life, but when last did you hang out with your friends? I know you've been saying that 2025 is the year you get into the gym and get your dream body. But sis, now, I'm not here to judge you, far from it. In fact, I'm actually speaking to myself too. This disconnect between what we desire for our lives and what actually happens is something that each and every one of us struggle with. And today, I want to make sure that your day-to-day habits actually line up with the values and the goals that you have set for yourself. Hi, my name is Pearl, and on this channel, we strive to live with intention. In my last video, we talked about your values, i.e. the things that matter the most to you and the things that fuel the passion that you have for life. We talked about why it was very important for each and every one of us as individuals to know what our values are. And if you haven't watched that video, I will link it up and in the description below. Now, once you've identified what your values are, the next step is planning how to live out those values in real time. And the only way we can reflect our values in our day-to-day life is by our habits. Let me break it down for you. What you do on a day-to-day basis, i.e. your habits, are actually the proof of what you value. So if you're spending all day on your phone scrolling and scrolling on social media and hardly getting anything done throughout your day, then I'm sorry, it appears your value is social media. The truth is, when my habits and my values didn't line up, I always ended up feeling frustrated. I was feeling unmotivated, and I was feeling like I was actually just outside of myself living someone else's life. But when I finally got this hack and my habits started to line up with my values, I felt more at peace with myself and I felt more confident in the direction that my life was going. You guys, that's the power of alignment. Now, I know that for some of us, these are like very, very familiar words, but for some of us, we don't even know what alignment is. Like, I'm talking and you're asking, what the hell is alignment? But to put it quite simply, there's a way that you could be living your life where your life feels off, where you feel like what you want for your life and what your life actually is 10 miles apart. Now, how to marry what you want for your life and what your life currently is what we call alignment. That is how you see yourself versus how you actually are, so that those pictures merge into one. Now, let's talk about the how. There was a mistake I made very, very early on in my journey. When I first started to show up as the person that I wanted to become, I decided that I was going to tackle my fitness, my self-development, the relationships I had with my family, my career, my finances, my spiritual life, all of those brackets. I decided that I would have to face it head on and tackle each and every one of them at the same time. You guys, this is a big mistake. This is a big trap. Please do not try to tackle every single aspect of your life at once. The truth is, multitasking is a scam. It's delusion. It's actually impossible for your brain to give separate issues the right amount of focus and energy. So what I did was pick one value that I was going to start with and commit to that value wholeheartedly until it stopped being something that I was visualizing or manifesting and it became something that was my everyday life. Life is all about priorities. You sit down, you look at all the things that matter to you, and you set which priority you want to begin with. For me, I started with the one that was causing me the most guilt and the one with which I had the most FOMO, which was my health. So for you, just pick the one that feels the most important to you right now. For some people, it might be your finances. Maybe you're in a space where you really want to do a lot of projects, but you need the capital, you need the finances to start these projects. Let that be your focus for the next 3 months. Pick that value and start to break down your big goal in that area into small actionable steps that you can imbibe as your daily habits to bring you closer to that goal. After choosing the value that you want to focus on, the next step is to ask yourself, What habits reflect this value? Now, this is where it gets practical. For me, because the value I wanted to prioritize was health, then I started to think, what would a healthy person do on a day-to-day basis? Every day, I'm sure that person would try to get very healthy meals, drink a lot of water, and get some form of movement in, whether that's yoga, whether that's a bit of stretching, whether that's walking 20 minutes or running for 5. These are the kind of habits that a person who is in their best physical shape would have on a daily basis. If your value is connection or connecting with your friends and your loved ones, then you need to get conscious about that as well. Whether it's scheduling FaceTime calls where you can have intimate, long stretched out conversations with your friends and family who live far away or who you can't visit physically, whether it's scheduling time to actually visit those who are close by physically, whether it's planning dates, brunches where you drop your phone and you're connecting with the people in your community. And if the value that you want to currently prioritize is your finances, for instance, then you know that you have to start thinking about a budget that you will stick to on a monthly basis. You know you have to start thinking about how much income you have and how much of that you can save towards the projects you want to commence. You know you have to start thinking of the best ways to generate additional streams of income. The most important thing is figuring out what habits can I imbibe on a daily basis that reflects the value that I'm trying to bring to life. Now, the third step after you figured out this habit is to anchor that habit into a daily routine. This is where most people get stuck. You join the gym and you start going every single day, and then a month later you miss a week or you miss a day, and then it's just hard to get back into the groove. Or you start saving money and then an unforeseen expenditure arises that breaks your savings in half, or you promise yourself you're going to develop yourself, start reading more, start journaling more, and a week has passed and you haven't been able to do that. One of the useful tools I've ever come across when it comes to adding a new habit to your life, I found in the book called Atomic Habits. The book is written by James Clear, and if you have not been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard about this book. Now, as I've spoken about this book, some people are already rolling their eyes because they've heard too much about this book. But guys, where there's smoke, there's fire. Once you take that book past theory and you start to apply the practical steps that are suggested by the author James, you really get to see real life changes. A concept that James explores in this book is something called habit stacking, where you add a new habit that you're trying to imbibe into your life to a habit you already do every single day. Now, for every single human being that walks this planet, there is a habit you already do every single day. Whether it's scrolling on your phone the first thing when you wake up, or it's brushing your teeth, or it's having a cup of coffee in the morning, there is something that you do every single day without failing. So when I wanted to start going to the gym more consistently than I already was, I had to think of a habit that I already had and that I was doing every single day. And for me, that was my private time every morning. I don't want to be too explicit on here, but every single morning that I wake up, I go into the bathroom. And so I knew that that was exactly where I needed to start. So what I started doing was ensuring that once I'm done with my business in the bathroom, I don't go straight back into bed. I just walk 2 feet towards my sink and I brush my teeth. Once I'm done brushing my teeth, then I wash my face. And what that did for me was actually revolutionary, because I struggled with waking up and just waking up, not wanting to go back into bed. But when I started doing that, when I started washing my face with very cold water right after I brushed my teeth, it immediately woke me up. And then what did I do next? I would walk to my wardrobe and select the gym outfit I'm wearing that morning and put it on. There was something about just wearing my gym clothes that just made me determined that I was going to the gym. For some people, it's not the gym. For some people, they just want to get a bit of movement in, some stretching, some yoga. This will work as well for you. Once you put on the outfit, something happens mentally that just readies you for what's about to happen. There's a certain momentum that you get. Please and please do not rely on motivation. Oh, I'm motivated to do this today. Oh, I'm not motivated to do that today. The core word when you're trying to build new habits is discipline. That means that whether you're feeling like doing it or not, you do it as a way of honoring your word to yourself. Habit stacking makes those new habits become automatic. And once the habit becomes automatic, then you can stack another habit to that particular habit. For instance, when I come back from the gym, I know that my first thing is to make my breakfast, and the second thing is to come upstairs and clean up the room that I woke up in. Once you start doing that, then you start to form a routine that your brain acclimatizes, and your brain just does these things without your permission after a while. Remember the same thing that I said with the values, how you should pick one value and just focus on that for a period of 3 months. That's the same thing you should do when you're trying to form a new habit. Don't try to habit stack 8 new habits. My dear, you're setting yourself up for failure. I mean, some people might be successful with that, but the rates are really low. Ideally, when we try to focus on a lot of things at the same time, we're not able to give our best to any one of those things. So similarly with the habits, when your habits stacking, just pick one habit at a time and add it to your routine. And I promise you, after a while, you find that you're just doing these things automatically. I remember when I was trying to form the new habit of taking care of my skin, and how skincare used to feel like a chore. And now I don't even feel like myself if I haven't done my skincare. So one small habit done consistently is more powerful than 10 big habits that you can't maintain. So here's the simple takeaway from all that I have said in this video. Aligning your habits with your values doesn't have to be a complicated thing. Start with one value. Choose one habit that reflects that value and anchor it into your daily routine. That's how you build a life that feels true in a way that's slow and caring and doesn't feel forced, or doesn't give you that imposter syndrome that we all struggle with. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one value that you want to align with your habits this week? Drop it in the comments, because once you say out loud, once you write it down and make it plain, you're more likely to follow through. And I'm more likely to be that accountability partner that reminds you in a month what you've committed yourself to. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next step in building an intentional life.